And welcome to Poppy's Workshop from Little Acorns. Great Oaks Grow. So here we are, man, the last Sunday of September. I'm shocked at how quickly things are going by. Just, yeah, I mean, that's just October, November, and December, and then we're into 2025. Yeah, hard to wrap my head around that. So let's take a look at what I have been doing in the workshop. Actually, not much this week, other than finishing up the project that we cut last week, last Sunday. We did the whole thing. So let me show you that. I added the clock mechanism, and it is actually keeping time. So here's what the completed and waxed piece looks like. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So I say that was a good piece. It was very easy, simple cuts. It took about 2 hours, and that's, you know, with me going a little bit extra slow as I was, you know, also videoing it. So I do go a little bit slower. So I can definitely make this a sub 2 hour piece if I wanted to. But, you know, I'm not a production shop. I keep repeating that. So, man, my hands are shaky today. That is not good. Okay, so what else was I doing? I have an idea. I have a thought. And that can be a very dangerous thing, needless to say. So one of the other things that I'm thinking of is I made hard stencils of various toys that I make. So there are times where I just need to crack off, you know, 1, 2, 3 of these things. Or I have some scrap wood, and rather than go into my office and print out paper and then put glue on and all that, I'm doing this. I made this out of, what's that, 3-4 millimeter birch. It's not plywood that I can see. Nope, not plywood. So I just had some lying around that I was using for some laser work. So somewhere on the back of one of these, yeah, there it is. Yeah. So I was testing the laser and did that. So what I did, changed it midstream, is I was using the Elmer's, what is it called? I can't see it from here. It is an Elmer's removable or adjustable spray glue. I did that for the first two. And I thought, hey, JJE, welcome aboard. So anyway, I was using the repositionable, that's what it is, the repositionable glue. And after the second one, I thought, you know, I'm not going to be taking these off, so let's make it more permanent. So directly to the wood, on both of them, is I use the 3M77 glue. So I think this is one, yeah, this is one that's using the repositionable. I mean, no big deal in the grand scheme, but, you know, here I can write in, you know, I want to use a 3/8 bit for that. You know, I can just see where everything is. You know, I want to drill down this way, blah, blah, blah. My only concern is when I actually write a trace on the wood, depending on the type of wood, it may be difficult to see at times. So that is one of the things that I'm going to experiment with, because if you use a pen, chances are it's going to bleed. Because I was thinking, I could use a red pen. If I can find a decent red pencil, that may be an option. So that'll be the next part of the experiment on that. So that's pretty much it as to what I did last week. You know, again, finishing up this puppy, literally. So that's what we cut out. Oops, doop, doop, there it is. That's what we cut out last week. And we got that. Let me get that back, get my cell phone there because I've got it playing music in my noise-canceling headphones. And then I just cut out a whole bunch of these. You know, these are just a matter of minutes to cut all those out. Let's see. If you go to my, I think it's there. Did I? No. But there's a link. If you go to poppysworkshop.org and then scroll to the bottom, you'll see a link to my Facebook page. And on the Facebook page today, I posted a picture of my workshop with all the toys that I'm going to be delivering this week, the 100 plus. I did not make the 125. I was beat this week. Work just really took its toll on me. So I'm like, yeah, not going to do that. So, you know, I also had a few failed toys. Before I put them in the box, I give the wheels, especially ones with an axle, a twist. And one of them, the wheel came off. And this is one reason why I stopped using linseed, well, two of the reasons why I stopped using linseed oil. The first one is linseed oil takes a really long time to cure. Even at a week, it was still weeping onto the box that I had it in. And even after a month or so. So it's like, I can't do that. The second thing was, actually there's three things. The second thing is, I think because I had the wheels and everything, let me do this. Actually, there's four things. So I'm going to it. So here's one of the small toys that I did. And this is the one where I did, is that, nope, that's not the one. Wait a sec, pardon me. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this wheel is just spinning right off. Oh, get that in there. So what's happening here is I'm dunking the whole thing in linseed oil, so it's getting in and everything. I think it's weakening the glue that I was using, whether it is the Gorilla Glue, whether it's CA glue, it's affecting it. So there was one point where I did a pre-test before boxing, and 5 of them failed. I mean, we're talking both front and rear. This is fine, but this one you put maybe 4 or 5 pounds of twist with your fingers, and it went pop. And then this one here, what's really weird, this one is great, but when I do the front, I don't think you can see, there is a twist in the axle. So I think what happened is, as the linseed oil got inside in the axle well, for lack of a better term, and it just sat there. It never dried, it never cured, and it weakened the axle itself. So now it is flexing. I think it's fine, but that just makes me very nervous in terms of toy safety. It's just one of those weird things. I'm gonna probably take this, put it on the vise, and I'm gonna put a lot of. Geez, I gotta move forward here. I'm gonna put a lot of torque on it and see how many pounds it's gonna take to twist that off. If I remember the child safety, I think one of the tests is 7 or 7.5 pounds of pressure, pulling, twisting, and stuff like that. So that's one of the many issues why I'm not delivering the 100. Oh, and the other thing is, this is aspen, I think. I forgot what it was, but it's one of the lighter woods, one of the lower Janka woods and everything is turning yellow. And it's like, for me, visually, I don't like it. Grand scheme doesn't mean a whole lot. You know, it's a yellow wood, big deal. But aesthetically, don't like it. So that's the other reason why I've switched to either going totally dry and using woods like ash, maple, oak. Those really don't need to be finished to look good. So that is why I do that. Now, what I'm also doing on some of the toys is, before putting the wheels on, I'm using that beeswax finish that you would use on cutting boards. It's beeswax and coconut oil, and it wipes on really easy. Get it in. You know, the smallest spots are issues since it's a hard wax. Getting that on, that's great for the walnut because it brings out the dark chocolate and the grain really nice. But after 15, 20 minutes. I give it another wipe to get any excess off, and then I can do the wheels. I put it on the jig, and we're good to go. I can't do it with these small toys. Okay, so let's talk about today. What are we going to do on the scroll saw? Well, one of my favorite woods happens to be canary wood. And canary wood has the yellows, the browns, a little bit of orange and everything. And then when you put it in linseed oil or wax it, or even use any kind of spray finish or dipping finish, painting finish, it's just really nice. What I also like about this, the Jenka is just shy of 1100. I think it's 1090. So it's just shy of 1100. So it's actually a very hard wood. However, it's also a somewhat oily wood internally, which makes cutting a breeze. So you can have a 3/4 inch, and it's beautiful in how the blade handles. So what I'm going to be doing today is actually a double stack. You can't quite see it, but let me get real close here. Yeah, you can kind of see the line, but I have 2/4 inch pieces, and I put a very thin line of CA glue here and a CA glue here because I'm going to be doing something fairly abstract today. Let's get it back a little bit. Oh yeah, I think you can make out what this is. JJE, do you see what it is? What do you think? Yeah, it's a tree, but it's a tree that the branches are two people making out. Yeah, I'm still a teenager at heart. So I thought this was kind of an interesting piece to do live, because when you look at it, you think, oh my gosh, this is really complicated. But it isn't. Now, what I've decided to do right now is I'm going to leave the border. I haven't decided. I can only go up to about here. I'm going to leave the border and do it as all internal cuts. You probably can't. Yeah, there you go. You can see what I've done is I've scribbled different lines right here. You see the tree, but what else did you see? Look carefully. There you go, right there. Take a look. Okay, so what you can see here is I have connected different portions of the tree. Like I took this branch here, extended it out. So what I'm trying to do is make a few connection points to the actual self-framing. So that's what I'm trying to do with this. Now, at any point, I can decide when it's done is just cut those points, and this can become a freestanding tree, in essence. Whether I add a base or what have you, leave that, make the base. Really don't know, but I think I'm going to let it self-frame. So that's what we're going to do. So let me switch over to, let's hope it works. Yes, all right. I think we're doing good today again. Switch over to the scroll saw. Let me get my mouse out of the way. And actually, we need to change blades. So let me get my stool up. I've got a rolling stool with a low back. It has a place where I can place my feet. And yeah, I think I got a lot of time on this, but I'm going to put it on my magnet. I've got a whole bunch of, let me get this out of the way. I have a whole bunch of semi-used blade, and I really need to use them. Because what I do is when I really burn out a blade, then I put it in my little people head, and I'll use it as a glue stick. If I think I still have some life left in the blade itself, then I will, oops, where is that? There it is, okay. Let me pay attention here, or I'll put the blade backwards. That's me. Now remember the way that I do this with the lever. Oh, you can't see it. I flip the lever into the engaged position as I'm putting the blade in so I can see. Let me tension it. And then, again, these are just that may not work as well. Just kind of get those edges. I was debating about whether I would use a number 5 blade. Let me retension that. And then I usually just retension it. These are just habits that I always do. Actually, I should have put it in there. All right, so let's do an easy cut. All right, I see the cut that I'm going to do first. I'm going to start in the middle. Down here. So I drilled this out yesterday, sanded the back of my boards. I think I used an 1/8 inch bit, because this isn't a super, I mean, it looks intricate, but it really isn't. So it's not too, it's one of those in between. I think anybody can do this. I think it's really good for practicing turns or practicing how you want to do sharp edges and stuff like that. But in the grand scheme, it's not super difficult, but then you're getting some nice thin pieces, and that can be rather nerve-wracking in my mind, because I'm forever breaking these things off. So you sometimes have to make a, inline decision of, let me go to the outside of the lines to make it thicker, and that's probably what we're going to do. So let me get my noise-canceling headphones, and I've readjusted my mic. I don't think I have music playing. Hold on for a sec. It stopped playing. Oh, it's not going through my ears. Wait a second here. Get it to connect. Come on. Of course, it's not going to connect easily. Waste my time. All right, we're going to do it this way. Did it connect? Come on. All right, I'm going to turn these off and on then. Best laid plans of mice and men. So apparently there's a sensor, there we go, that senses when I'm not wearing them, and after a certain amount of time, there we go. There we go. Lower the volume so I can hear myself a little bit. Okay, so back to where we were. I was debating about the blade. This is a number 3 Flying Dutchman Ultra Reverse. Depending on how this goes, at first I was thinking of a number 1 so I can really do, I think I can do it. Being that this is just 1/2 inch, the 2/4, I think the number 3 will be a good blade to use. Again, I was thinking about using the number 1. But let's see. All right, let's get the noise rolling here. I readjusted my volume a little bit, so hopefully you don't hear things too bad. There we go, got some good suction there. And I think visually you can actually see my blade this time. And yeah, this is cutting nice. Now, because of the source and how I did the stencil, it's a little bit, the lines are a little bit jaggy. Let me get this in closer. They're not as crisp as I'm used to, so I can't see the line as well as I really like. But the blade is cutting nice. It's not, yeah, it drifted a little bit there, but that's okay. Being that this is abstract, anything off the lines is not super critical, other than if you make things too thin. So as always, I keep my waste wood to the right because this drifts to the right. So I'd rather have it drift into the waste wood where I can make corrections if need be. So it's going to be another busy week at work. I'm currently writing 2 papers. And my framework came back with some suggestions that are going to make me rethink pretty much the whole thing. It sucks when you have to write something where there's no existing directives or guidance other than little hints. So I use the industry standards. You know, NATO being NATO, they have to do things their own way. It's kind of funny. I'm also doing quality checks, so to speak, on a number of capabilities that are reaching their first review candidates, where it goes into peer review for content. Is this going to meet what the operations people need, cost, all that stuff. Is it the right technical solution, or are there better technical solutions? So my specialty being computers, command and control. I did 4 last week, 6 the week before. Yeah, that's snapping nice. So anyway, with this, there's not a whole, it's funny, you want to say there's not a whole lot of inside cuts. I should say they are big inside cuts. They're big inside cuts, so I think I only have 10 or so drill holes. But you look at it and say, oh my gosh, this should have been, 50 drill holes. No. Most of them are big because of the branches and how they're designed. I think I'm going to make a little fillet rather than a sharp corner. Oh, yeah, that failed. I'll have to start early on the next one. The blade is drifting a lot, so I'm actually thinking a number 5 might have been a better choice. And number 5 is usually my go-to. So I nibbled out a little area to turn around and round out that sharper edge there. But yeah, I'm seeing some drift as the blade wears. I find that blades wear not on a linear line. A lot of wear happens within the first few minutes, and then it'll stabilize, and depending on the type of cuts you're doing and how much heat you're generating, the blade will then start to wear again. So it's almost like a bathtub. So if you think of the bathtub, from left to right is time, and then you have the depth. So at the very left, you have the sharpest blade. And the blade will quickly, as it goes down the side of the bathtub, will dull to a certain point. Then you get to the bottom of the bathtub where it's flat, and it will stay there for a decent amount of time. Again, depending on, wait a second here. let the blade stabilize. So depending on, again, how hard the wood is, how fast you're moving, how hard you're pushing, blah, 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 how hot that blade gets, it'll stay at the bottom for a while of that bathtub. Then you get to the right side of the bathtub and it starts to dull again. So that's why I find nibbling to be very effective versus some sharp turns which cause more friction. Because friction is what kills the blades. Now, a lot of people, there's some, what do you want to call it, urban legends in the scroll saw community where they say, oh, if you put tape down, clear tape. If you put packing tape down, clear packing tape. If you put, what is it? If you put shelf liner down, that will help lubricate the blade. I think it's an urban legend. Physics-wise, it does not make sense to me. Because you're cutting through, and that is basically debris that can clog up your teeth, and it gets moved out of the way very quickly. So I think the benefit, if any, is minimal to zero in actuality. So I think when I see that, people say, oh, you should use XYZ and that'll keep the blade lubricated. Nah, that's a lie. That is not scientifically proven. And somewhere along the line, somebody thought, okay, now I'm going to go into the waist area. I'm going to do a quick spin. I didn't spin fast enough. So now I've got a little place where I'm going to get the shape that I want. Get a sharp branch. But yeah, so as the blade goes up that right side of the tub, then it starts to dull to a certain point where it becomes ineffective. You know, you're going to find it's drifting more, you're pushing harder, causing more friction, which causes it to wear even more, to a point that, you know, the teeth are virtually useless. It's basically just the speed of the machine and how fast that blade is going up and down. Here we go. Let's get our first piece cut out. Let me see if I can match the entry point, make it smooth. Not bad. Okay. All right. Hopefully the noise is not too bad. I noticed on the video last week it was actually really good. So let's take a look here. So here's the two pieces, top and the second piece that were cut out. They dropped out nice and easy. And let's see, there we go. So you can see that was done in one long cut. Here's what it looks like from the back side. Let's do an easy one. Yeah, probably stupid of me doing all the easy ones first. But you got to cut them all anyway. So in this case, where I drilled my holes are also, I don't want to say critical, but for me, they're important. So I'm going to go straight down here, try and curve it just a little bit. Then I'm going to back the blade back in. Then I'm going to turn till the blade snaps into position, and then I'm going to do my cut. Rather than starting, say, like where I'm at right now, where you're going to wind up with a little bump where your start and finish meet, if you do it in a corner, then it's just a natural place that you can hide that little bump and not have to worry about sanding it. Or you can just use a little nibble to clean it up. So that's one of the tricks that I do. So before I drilled, you would have seen I actually pencil marked where I was going to drill all my holes. I don't do it that often, but being that this is kind of a weird piece where you didn't have to drill that many holes to complete an entire section. Second. Yeah, here we go. So I forgot what I was. I'm actually listening to a live version of Summer of '69. Okay. Now, usually what I should be doing is doing the more complicated pieces first, which I'm going to switch to now. Oh, there we go. For two reasons. Number one, your blade is sharper. And you want the sharpest blade on the most complicated portions of your piece. And then as your blade dulls and you're ready to replace it or something, then you can switch over and say, yeah, I've got this simple area here. Let me do those simple areas as, you know, my blade is slow. There we go. That was the other issue. So you can see I penciled here, actually connecting two areas. Now, I'm going to swing out a little bit because I noticed the hole on the other side is really close. So I'm going off the line to account for that. I can always revisit it, whether doing a nibble with a blade or sanding it if I want, but again, this is totally abstract. Theoretically, I should have used a much smaller bit, but with my eyesight and my hands, it just works better for me. But yeah, so do your most complicated cuts with the new blade. Then as you find that you're pushing harder and everything, find some of the very simple cuts. Do those. Then when you find that you can't use that blade anymore, then put in another sharp one. And then go back to those more complicated areas. I think logically that makes the most sense. Yeah, I have a feeling what I'm going to do. I'm not sure. When I do switch this blade, I may go to a number 5. But I will say, if I could only buy one blade and use only one blade, for me it would be the number 5 Ultra Reverse. When I order bulk, that's the one I order bulk in. Though I find with certain woods like ash, and I'm doing some simple cars, I will use a number 9 or a number 10 Pegasus for the perimeter because it's a very aggressive blade. It stays sharp for a long time. But I don't like the way that it finishes. But because I router my toy edges and then put them on a mop to sand it, a mop sander. Then I, wait a second here, let me get straight. Let me get my magnifying glass adjusted. Then I put it on the mop, so any of the rough finish that the Pegasus does is gone anyway. So you've got to take that in consideration. You know, something like this to sand inside would be very difficult, and I'm really anal about having sharp, crisp edges, and also the cuts being as clean as possible. So that's one of the trade-offs with a Flying Dutchman, is that, yeah, they don't last as long as the Pegasus. Because actually I can already feel that this is, I'm recognizing that this is dulling. So I think I'm coming out of the bathtub right now. The sharpness bathtub, we'll call it. And it's still cutting good. It might be because I sped the blade up and generated more heat. So that raises another thought in my mind as I listen to music, try talking as I'm cutting, is blade speed. You have some folk who say, I set my motor to the fastest possible and I leave it there. That could work. But I'm thinking, as I just did that, this is just a thought, is the faster the blade is going, the speed, the more friction you are going to generate. And that friction, of course, generates heat, which will wear the blade. So it might have been smart of me to keep it at the lower speed. So let me stop for a second once I get to this corner so I can look at something here. So yeah, I'm at, oh, actually not too bad. I'm about at half speed, where before I was at like 3/4. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. I was at maybe about 1/3. Sorry about that. And now I'm about half. But the blade is still snapping nice on the turns. So I'm going to stick with this for a little bit longer before switching back to the simpler cuts. Let me see, any comments here? Oh, everybody's quiet today. Okay, looks like the image looks pretty good. Camera's working nice. I think the audio is doing pretty good. Let me shut up for a sec so I can see my audio mixer. Yeah, it looks like I've got some background noise, but I think my voice is coming above it. And let me take my ears off for a sec. Yeah, not too bad. I pull one of my blast gates open part way, I found that it gets rid of the whistle from here. At one point I put a brush from a very small vacuum on it to help cut that whistling sound and also brush some of the dust, but found I really didn't need it. Yeah, I'm going to the outside of the line a little bit. I want to thicken this branch just a wee bit. So again, these are decisions you make on the fly. And oh yeah, this is the one I've got to fillet a little bit more. So let me stop here. I think you can see it. Let me get my pen here. So right here is where you're looking, is rather than make a sharper cut, I made it more round. So, because when I made this turn here, I came in a little bit too close. So I wanted to thicken that part and strengthen it. And I will not, yeah, I'm sweeping wide. That's kind of weird. I'm by far nowhere near an expert. I call myself an advanced student. But my claim to fame that helped me with my career is I'm very process oriented and I'm very process improvement oriented. So if there's a way to do something, my mind is thinking, yeah, this is, I'm going to have to revisit that. Wait a second. I swept way wide on that. That's what happens when the blade starts to dull. So I think after this cut, let me do this. Wait a second. So I'm nibbling here. There we go. So I'm just cutting off that little piece, and I'm going to round off with a nibble there. And a nibble there. There we go. Okay, let's continue on. So I think after this long, twisty, turny cut, I'm going to do a couple simple cuts and then switch to a number 5. See how that cuts. Get that up. Yeah, the piece I'm cutting out is starting to bounce a little bit as it's being freed. And I think I'm gonna slow the blade down. Maybe I'm gonna see if that stops some of the bounce. But I find that I'm actually putting a little bit more pressure. So that is the trade-off as this blade meets its maker. A lot of people ask, why is it scroll saw blades drift? Well, the short answer is it's the way they're made. They are, what's the word? Stamped. So these are stamped blades. So the stamping goes a particular way. You know, you have your top and your bottom. So that's what affects it. So you don't get that pure edge. So that's why when I am doing a straight line, it looks like, holy cow, he's like 5 or 10 degrees off from straight. But he's doing a straight line. What the heck? I think we're about to hit the home stretch here. Nope, not quite. This is the last long cut. This is probably not the song to be listening to as I cut this. I Can't Drive 55. So I would warn, as you cut, be very careful of the music you listen to. kind of gets the, wow, I am nowhere near done on this cut. Ooh, this is kind of fun. So yeah, simple piece. And I don't remember where the pattern came from. Probably off Pinterest or something. And I don't know who I would even give this to. Yeah, so I forgot whose face I'm in. I think I'm in the man's face now. Let me stop for a sec. Okay. I got to give my fingers a rest for a moment here. All right. Yeah, I think the slower speed for me works. I'm able to control these. These are always tough turns, you know, the top of the roller coaster, so to speak. Try to stay on the line versus drifting off of them. Again, if you're drifting off into the waist area, hey, no worries. You can go back like I did on that other piece. But I do tell people, if you have a variable speed, don't be afraid to adjust your speed, whether faster or slower. Yeah, this is definitely not going to be a 2-hour piece. I mean, maybe if I wasn't talking. All right, let's see if I can do a really sharp. There we go, yeah. I'm off the line just, ever so slightly. No big deal. Glad I turned the air conditioner on. We did okay with the remains of the hurricane. It was just rainy Friday. Everything stayed pretty much to the west of us. I feel bad for the people in the Carolinas that really got hit hard. So definitely keep those folk in your thoughts and prayers. So yeah, I think this is a great piece for people to master their cutting skills. Really, yeah. It gives you a lot of room for error in one way, but you're using pretty much every technique to follow the line, cut the wood. Waiting for that snap. All right, so this here, I got to be careful because that piece can get a little bit too small. So I'm going to nibble this turn. I think I'm coming to the final stretch now on this very long cut. But actually the blade is still cutting pretty good. I don't trust it for another long. So you see I hesitate on some turns. I'm waiting for the blade to catch up to where I want it to go. Also observing how it tracks. So this here, I want to stay to the outside. I'm getting into one of my pencil marks now. And I see where this is coming to a tip. So I'm going to be very careful. Okay. There we go. So the bottom piece should drop out easy, which it did. And the top piece. So here we go. Let's take a look at what the top and bottom look like now that they're cut out. Wow. That looks pretty cool. And let's take a look at where we're at. So you can see the man's face is cut out. And you can see the woman's face there, uncut. And then let me get to here. Oh, there it is. You can see the hands. So it's starting to really take shape now. So I think what I'm going to do is let me look here. I've got a simple cut here, 2 simple cuts up here, a simple cut there. I'm going to save that one. So I think with this blade, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm going to do those 4 simple cuts, and then I'm going to swap out to the number 5 to a new blade. All right, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to come straight down. Actually, I'm going to try and hit that at an angle. There we go. Listen to me, Keep On Rolling right now. One of my favorite songs. I think I'm going to stay. I'm drifting a little bit further than I wanted to. Wait a sec, let me get my... This is a thin part here, so I'm going to stay to the outside of my cut line until I get to the turn where it starts to thicken. Then I'm going to get back online. There we go. And I'm going to do a spin. So I'm pulling back just a little bit to make this turn. And it came to the outside of my cut line, so into my area that I don't want cut, just by a little bit, nothing critical. Again, I'm attributing that to a dull blade. Yeah, I'm drifting like crazy now. Yeah, so I'm just to the outside of the line. And my ADD is screaming, saying, well, you're not touching the line, you're not splitting the line. You dummy. You suck. All right, let me smooth out that little nib there. Keep on rolling, yeah. See where we're at here. Oh, we're not even at an hour yet. Wow, okay. You know, I'm going to go against my better judgment. I'm going to start in the middle. You know, I had to put that that hole a little further back because of the thickness of the hole that I was drilling. Again, if I'd used the smaller drill, I could have gotten right in close. Man, this Hammond organ that they play in the song is amazing. I love the music of the 70s and the 80s, but this is the classic, which I think was mainly 70s, late 70s, when I was but a teenager. I was reading a very interesting article, and also a gentleman that I follow on YouTube talking about music, that there's hardly any bands, if any, in the top 100, I think, music nowadays, compared to, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, started in the latter 90s, I think, the downfall, and then the aughts, that all changed. So really interesting that you're probably never going to see a band ever again such as what a lot of us older folk have grown up with. You're not going to see the Beatles, Boston, Kansas, U2. Wait a second, let me... It's just stunning, the changes in music today. I was listening, I'm trying to remember what song. I sent it to my daughter. It was the live version. I forgot what it was. Nuts. Let me get this little nibble here. That's what I was afraid of. Yeah, that was REO. There we go. Pay attention to what I'm doing here. Get that piece of wood out. Yeah, this is a bummer. Is REO Speedwagon. They are no longer going to tour anymore. Last time I saw them was, gosh, let's see, 15, almost 20 years ago in Canandaigua, New York. And they were just here in Virginia Beach, but they are no longer going to tour. All right, let me pay attention to this. Okay, so there is a live version on YouTube of the Cutting Crew. And I think it's Died in Your Arms Tonight. So it's... This is a straight line. And I'm going to do a fillet here, partially. I'm going to hit it the other way. But you've got to... It's like a 7 or 9 minute version of the song. Starts out with the solo. Then they go into an acoustic version of the song. Then they do the version that most of us would remember. And you've got to listen to it with headphones. That's all I can say about it. It is such a stunning version. I'm gonna leave it like that for now. I may have to revisit that drill hole and smooth it out. Let me do one more easy cut, and then I'm going to swap out blades and go to a number 5. Maybe what I'll do is I'll switch over to the workbench camera after this cut so I can show you the whole thing. Let's see how I want to do this. Because this is all penciled areas. There we go. Now I can see. I do not want to go to work tomorrow. I've actually been sleeping late. I think I got up at 6 o'clock this morning. And for me, that is late. It was a Friday night, I took a sleeping pill, which I normally don't do. But that stuff makes me really groggy in the morning. All right, this I'm going to come out a little bit more to a straight line. And I'm going to nibble this one. I want to be able to get into this straight line as clean as possible. There we go. I think that's wide enough. Oh, that's not good. That blade is twisted. It's caught. And that's the other thing that shortens the life of blades, is if you're twisting them all the time. So this, I want to stay, I'm going to try and stay on the outside of this line. I mean, just touch it. This is a straight line. There we go. I'm nibbling just a little bit for the downstroke here. I think I'm going to revisit this part. I'm going to just cut where I can. Yeah, and then I'm going to revisit this line. Good. All right. So let's do this. Let me clean that out. Wait a second. There's a piece hanging out there. So let me switch over to the workbench momentarily. And let me clean this piece out. There we go. Okay, so here's where we're at. Look at that. What do you think? It's coming along. All right, let's go back to the scroll saw. Good, still working. And this blade's done. Let's go to number 5. So those of you who have watched me over the last year-ish? Yeah, I think it's been a year. You'll see that I try and do everything the same every time. So you develop your own, now, I don't know if you can see this. My finger here, I can't move. Ow! That's trigger finger. I need to have surgery. Ooh. On that. I also need to have, I missed that. I need to have surgery on my, I keep missing. Wait a second here. I went forward. There we go. You know, I'm going to start this over. If you fail, just start from scratch again. But I try to repeat my processes all the time. Everything is repeatable. That makes it easier to analyze what went wrong. Because as an engineer, one of the questions I always ask when something fails is, what changed? That's always the first question I ask. What changed? All right. Let's get the lady cut out. Not quite super complicated as the man was, or I should say, as long as it was this is a shorter cut to complete. This one is going to be the bear, that's for sure. This is the bear cut right here. All right. So I'm just trying to see how I want to enter this cut. But this has two very straight cuts. So going outside of my pencil line. I want it a little bit thicker. Yeah, I can definitely feel the difference of a number 5 versus a number... Whoa, I'm going thin here. I didn't realize that pencil was in that much. So I'm going to go out. So as you can see, scroll sawing is not a mindless activity, especially when you get into more complicated pieces, abstract pieces or not. You've got to think of what is happening. So one of the first things I do when I get a design and I get it laid down, well, even before, but in particular when I get it laid down, is I look at it from a cutting perspective. And see, where would the weak parts be? Where would it be best? Should I connect certain parts that are not, just to strengthen it? You look at some of the designs that are out there. Some of the designers, they do such intricate pieces, and you know that they're fragile. And I don't attempt them. A, because I don't have the patience. B, most of them require a spiral blade, which I despise. And yeah, I just think I'm going to go and do a turnaround here. So I'm pulling back on the blade. There we go. So then I can just go back into the and get a sharp point. But they're big pieces and everything, and I've learned I like smalls. I like keeping things under 12 inches. People's tastes have changed in terms of having big bulky things in their home. But then you got to be careful not to just make tchotchkes. The nature of the art portion of scroll sawing, or really anything, is drastically changing. Especially where you get into the millennials and the older Gen Z. They like things crisp and clean. They don't like clutter. Whereas you look at boomers and to some extent Gen X, they still hold on to some of the tchotchkes and stuff. Like I told my spouse to get rid of the china that we have. This is china that was handed down to me by my mother. I forgot where she got it from. I think some of it, we might have lost some of it, was over 100 years old, and it came from my grandmother and then a great-grandmother. And see, those generations had to live through the Great Depression. Some World War I, some World War II, where there was scarcity. They came to the United States with very little. Let me make this a little bit wider. Hold on for a sec. My ancestors, in particular the Russian-Lithuanian side, fled the pogroms of the late 1800s, early 1900s. They came basically with the clothes on their back, but my understanding is that, and I saw them and I had some made into a ring for my wife, they sewed diamonds, Russian mine-cut diamonds, into the lining of their clothing when they came to the United States. But still, they had to establish their businesses. My great-grandfather, great-grandfather was a tailor, but made women's clothing and bustiers and all that funky stuff. kudos to him. What a racket. Here, miss, try this on. Let me size it. Oh, try this brassiere. No, 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 no. Take your shirt off. Okay, I'm getting out of control here. My Italian side came from Palermo, Sicily, and they were basically subsistence farmers and upholsterers and things like that. So, you know, they did not have much. So when they achieved quote-unquote wealth, or the things that showed that they were now firmly in the middle class, like your fine china, your fine cutlery, yeah, I can't even say it, your forks and knives, they held on to those things. Oh, what'd I do? Hopefully, I don't think I had that tight enough. See how that cuts. And I forgot, you know, one thing that I didn't do in my process is after running it for a couple minutes, I always go back, I'll stop, check the bottom nut, thumb nut, and the top, and make sure that they're they're firm. So thankfully, I didn't bend the blade that I can see. I'll know when I take it out after this cut. Let's speed the blade up just a hair. This is a thicker blade. Yeah, you know, I think I like the way the number 3 cuts better in this wood than the number 5. But the turns are nice with the 5. I'm going to shut up a little bit. One of the things that happens as you use similar wood, similar thickness, you get very used to how it cuts. So I'm finding my control actually starts to get better as I'm doing longer cuts and everything, and, you know, using the same wood. Like if I did another piece today or tomorrow, I know how the wood reacts and responds to the blade. Like now you look at the number 5, I'm able to make really nice tight turns and pointy turns. And a little bit jaggy here on my pattern line, kind of messing my eyes up a little bit. I think what I forgot to do when I made this pattern is I didn't smooth my lines enough. We'll start that a little bit early. Yeah, look at that. I think what I will do after this cut, I think that'll probably conclude the video after I finish this, talk for a minute or so after. Because this has got to be getting a little boring for the viewing public. Well, this is getting close to lunchtime for me. Yeah, so anyway, after we got all the rain Friday, went out yesterday, edged my lawn, blew all the debris off my hard surfaces. Let me clean that up well. And then mowed the yard because I think originally we were supposed to get some more rain tomorrow, but I think that's going to be either later, starting later in the evening or early Tuesday. But I still wanted to get that stuff done. I've got some brush I've got to bring out front for the city to remove for me. Got to arrange delivery of these toys, which, again, I don't think that's something that I'm going to do ever again unless I have help. Trying to come up with a variety of toys over 100 of is difficult. Then trying to get it for a large range of ages, becomes problematic. And then, you're doing work for just one organization where, during that time, could have served at least 5. It's one of those trade-offs. I mean, I'm still serving 100 children plus. So that's, one of the way, you got to weigh. But really, it's, to me, the disappointment that I'm not going to hit the 125. Because again, I lost almost 3 months of strolling because of my eye injury. Then the heat during summer just did me in. So, then mentally it just broke me. I think what I may do, I want to join a local woodworking club. They meet at, what's that wood store? Wood Tech or something? I forgot. It's the chain. They meet there every Monday night, but, they meet starting at 6:30, and that's when I'm showering, getting ready for bed, because I'm up by 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And they do some really good stuff there. One of the things they do is they make workbenches for veterans. I don't remember if it's just strictly wounded veterans or veterans as a whole. I think that's really cool. That's a skill that I'd like to add. But, I'd like to be able to meet other woodworkers. Maybe some will catch the vision that I have. And be able to collaborate a little bit so that I can do larger projects. When I say larger, I mean higher volume. But the commitment to do that many pieces for one organization, if I ever did something like that again, it would have to be, all right, here are 5 choices. Pick 2. And I'll do volume with just 2 designs. Whereas if you look at what I posted, I was pulling every design out of my hat. You look at, okay, here are 3 rattles, very simple rattles. But then here are 3 teethers. One's a teddy bear, 2 are koala bears. Here is some rolling rattles. You know, then you get into the race cars. Here's 4 different styles of race cars. Now, so you really can't get into a full production mode. Oh, you know, I'm going to start this turn a little bit early. Give it more strength. Yeah. And the state of the outside here. I think I'm going to touch the line about here. Let's see. You know, I hate these pop-up things that come in. I see out of the corner of my eye, I've got the computer right over there. So, man, too tight, that way. So, out of the corner of my eye, I see some movement. And it's these stupid window defender pop-ups or whatever. Where I'm a bad boy. Where my office computer here in the house, I turned off Windows Update months ago because I just got tired of losing stuff. You know, I'm in the middle of doing things and it reboots. It's like, you know, leave my stuff alone. And I don't know what they're pushing. Then it says, do you want to update to Windows 11? No. Because that fouls things up. Alright, so this one here is the last turn, besides my 90 degree, 290 degrees. Here we go. Now we're going to get to the straight lines. And this blade, I'm going to sweep that wide first. There we go. So right now I'm trying to determine which way the blade wants to go. And the funny thing is, most of the time, my straight lines, I do very slowly. I might pick up speed just a little bit. But most people think they can do straight lines really quick. But you'll find you will go off that line very quickly. So I am micro-adjusting. Alright, here we go. So I'm going to go halfway into the next line since it's much thicker. And you can see I'm just doing a nibble cut. Here we go. So now I've made it wide enough so that I can easily spin the blade without twisting it. So now I'm just determining which way that blade wants to go. And I am off a little bit. There we go. I'm going to go to the inside of that line since it's so thick. And I'm actually going to speed my blade up just a hair. But I'm going to maintain the same forward speed. I'm just about done. I have to remember to breathe sometimes, holding my breath. All right, now I'm going to start my turn out. There we go. Ah, come on. I want to be able to do a nibble, but don't think I'm going to be able to. Yeah, I can't get the blade where I want it with all that in there. So that's what I just cut out there. So let's do this. Let me clean up that one edge. And we'll go back to the workbench, turn all the noise off. And this is easy enough to clean. Into the fillet. Fillet. There we go. All right. Whew. All right. So let's get this off here. And I'm going to come back later today and do this. Back to the workbench. So, where's up? Where's down? Okay. So let's bring this in front of the camera, get it stable. So you can see the lady and the man kissing and his hands. And yeah, let me see. I've got this crazy cut here. So I think what I'm going to do, when I come back after lunch, I'll do this with the same blade, then do the easy cut. I'm probably going to do this area with the blade. Then I'll swap the blade out. I may go back to number 3, then do this, and I'm done. Other than for cutting it out of the stack. I'm still debating on that. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. I think it all looks good. So there you go. I think that's going to cover it for now. I really appreciate you coming out. Yeah, we're at 1 hour and 30 minutes. And like I said, usually I eat lunch at about 11 o'clock since I wake up so early. And yeah, there we go. So with that, make it a great day right here at Poppy's Workshop.